Quarantine Day 140 Watchlist. I already made individual reviews for these 7 films and shows. You can find it on the channel. I will not be covering them in this video. It includes Unsolved Mystery 2020 Volume 1, Relic, Greyhound, Palm Springs, Archive, Tape, and The Rental. So the first film I watched after those was Kubo and the Two Strings, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate from this. Maybe my expectation was way too high, but I find this film to be just okay. It is a visually breathtaking film that deserves all the praise in the world in regards to the technicality. The voice work is on point and the themes attempted are mature. It's just the script. It follows an action blueprint that skimmed through a lot of the development. It's easy to write in magic because it is the perfect designing principle where nothing is impossible, which makes everything quite mild. At the end of the day, I found myself wondering the motivations and the hows and the whys. After that, I watched 2 episodes of Japan Sinks 2020, but I dropped it after 2 episodes. It's just not connecting with me personally, but I'm curious to hear what y'all have to say about it if you have watched it and finished it, so I'm gonna leave it at that. And then I watched Variety from 1983. I think some of the shots here are mesmerizing. I think the direction it took was also really intriguing. Overall, I just think it's way too slow. Not a lot of things are going on. It could be a first time viewing thing though. Even though the ending I find very interesting, I don't think this one's for me personally for now. This is another one which I probably had way too high of an expectation walking in. Breathless has incredible aesthetics. It is yet another fantastic looking French New Wave film, but the story and the characters I find quite difficult to connect with. As an artwork, it was tremendous. Then I watched Eyes Without a Face from 1960. Again, it might be me, but the pacing also dragged a little bit for me, especially towards the latter half, but it is a beautiful looking film and it is utterly terrifying. First, Cal took me a while to understand and get into the filmmaking and the story, but once I'm in, it has a way of locking you in and I didn't snap out of it until it's over. The sound mix, the sound design is breathtaking, they're crisp as hell. The cinematography is mostly pretty flat, which is intentional and artistically done, and this is really a very patient film. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. And then I watched some of my boy Al's films I haven't watched yet. The Lady Vanishes from 1938 was the first. It's quite rare to see a film in the 30s that's this consistent and entertaining throughout the entire runtime. Yet, like many other 30s films, it is unintentionally funny at times as well, and I think it has such an aggressive title and I loved it. After that, I watched Young and Innocent from 1937. I thought it was a bit goofy, but in a lot of good way. Hitchcock has a way of romanticizing things and I feel like this one shows that probably the most. It's quite fun. Ugetsu from 1953 is another Japanese big classic. The haunting, frankly nail-biting, and eerie score that's holding the film together is absolutely daunting. The pacing I found extremely effective. It is a slow burn, excellently dreadful, and masterfully terrifying scenes after scenes. It has a lot to say about the Japanese people's values in regards to the war. I don't have a lot to say about Tarkovsky's Mirror from 1975 for now, but this is my first Tarkovsky film and I'm really not sure what I just watched, but I will say this: the technical ability is undeniable, but narratively, give me a few years to chew on. Then I finally watched The End of the Fucking World Season 2, came out last year. I watched the first season when it first came out and I really liked it. Season 2 continues the storyline and it does not disappoint. From my memory, it is funnier than the first season, more fast-paced than the first season. I do think Season 1 captures something that cannot be replicated, but there's just something awfully hilarious and adorable visually with a sociopath walking around in a wedding dress. Is just such a good idea. Then I rewatched American Vandal Season 1. It still holds up. I still love it. The first few episodes do feel a bit slow in retrospect, especially in the second viewing, but everything still works extremely well. Then I started the Olivia Assayas binge, so I started with Cold Water from 1994, which I thought aesthetic and atmosphere can only take you so far, to be honest with you. And then Irma Vep, I think that's how you pronounce it, from 1996. The second half felt more and more disoriented, which I'm sure is intentional. It has some interesting things to say about how French perceive cinema and how it fits within the economy. And then I revisited one of my childhood films, Tom and Jerry The Magic Ring from 2001. It was definitely more mysterious and scary and entertaining when I was watching it as a kid, I gotta say, but you know, not complaining, it's, you know, it's whatever. Then I continue with the Asayas binge with Summer Hours from 2008. It's quite a different look for Asayas and I'm really digging it. The medium shot lengths feel shorter than usual and there are less tight handheld shots. Instead, they are replaced by a lot of fixed, subdued pans, dollies, and tracking shots. It is also the more compactly paced film I've seen from him so far. It is a talking movie. Next is the 2019 thriller Every Time I Die on Netflix. Don't have much to say about it. I just barely cared about anything. The casting, how it was shot and edited, the story has a very messy plot and with a terrible execution. I would not recommend it. And finally, I watched The Staircase on Netflix, which I think from a certain perspective, this docu-series is probably better if you look at it from the perspective of exploring the quote-unquote justice system, and it's a totally another thing if you looked at it from objectivity, and it doesn't hold up as well, but it depends on which angle do you want to look at it. I think it really does the job when it comes to exploring that justice system, and I probably will make a video about this and probably a podcast because there are just so many ideas flowing around. I don't think I can make a video and make it cohesive at the same time, so podcast is probably in the works. We'll see. I'm not sure yet. Thank you so much for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.